Going live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the No Close Show. As always, excited to be here with you today. It is Monday here in the office, actually November 12th. So happy Veterans Day to all of our veterans out there, past and present, and potentially future. But we are excited to have a guy on who's not been on a little while, who continues, though. He was on episode number 3 to begin with when we first launched the podcast, and it's still kicking butt in the top 10 of all downloads. If you did not know that, it's the man, the myth, our good friend and brother from another mother, Aaron Young, join us today on the No Close Show. So, hey, Aaron.
Hey, Scott. How you doing,
man? Welcome. I cannot complain one bit. It is a great day out there. We are rocking and rolling out here, as always, getting some stuff done. But it's exciting to have you back on. I know we talk a lot on a regular basis, but you're busy as well. Big fans of what you're doing with your podcast as well. And as always, just love your Angie, man. Love what you're doing also with Laughlin Associates and everything you're doing with your Magnify Your Wealth Summit as well. So just excited to have you back on, man. It's been too long.
I love being with you. I love being with your people too. You seem to attract the coolest people. And so it's awesome to be here, and I'd like to. I'm pretty excited to take a victory lap about being in the top 10, all this time later.
Dude, you should.
I don't know what you're having on the show, but I mean, I think you need to step it up.
Well, we're honored that we're now going to make this a regular occurrence going forward. Every second Monday of the month will be Aaron's Monday, and so we're excited to have that because you'll be coming on sharing nuggets of corporate veil protection, things people can do to avoid messing up, and best practice for them to make sure and protect their assets out there. So it's really, really excited about that. And that's why I was like, we need to have Aaron on a regular basis. So we're excited to have you here.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. It's an honor to be part of it. Your show's doing so well. I mean, it's really cool to be able to be a little part of it.
Well, that's good. That's good. So let's talk a little bit. You guys, I was just out in San Diego with you. It's hard to believe, golly, what has it been, a month since the Magnify Your Wealth Summit?
Yeah, more of that, because it was like the first week. So it's been like 5 or 6 weeks now. Yeah. First week of October. Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. So just over a week now and stuff like that. And when is the next one slated for? You've got the next one slated for in April, actually, right?
Yeah. Well, Inner Circle is in. So Inner Circle is a mastermind that I do. That's a Laughlin oriented mastermind, Laughlin Associates. Which, if you're listening and you don't know what Laughlin Associates is, we're an incorporation service, a resident agent service. We're going on 48 years old, and we just have lots of customers and have been around for a long time. So, and Scott knows this, but we started doing this Inner Circle mastermind thing in January. Well, the next one's in January, and then Magnify Your Wealth, the 3-day kind of flagship event, is April 11th, 12th, and 13th. I hope that's on your calendar too, Scott.
Because it is. We are adjusting our calendar to fit it together. That's when we had our mastermind weekend plan. So we're going to adjust it and make it work.
Wow. Thank you for doing that. This is why we're going to be getting together and figure out how to get our calendars in sync, right?
Yeah. That's exactly right. This is exactly right. But yeah, you guys do such a great job at Laughlin of really helping clients. And with us having so many real estate entrepreneurs, one of the best things that people could do is, I'll give you an example. I had a couple of people in this weekend here going through some coaching and fast track training, talk about their entities, needing to set up stuff. I was like, listen, don't just go get an LLC for $300 or $800 or wherever you're at. You need to spend some time and literally talk with somebody, help get everything set up properly, issue your corporate book and issue stock to you so you actually own the entity.
Actually own the
a lot of other things, right?
It's funny. I was in Indianapolis over the weekend speaking, and really interesting group of people, really nice group of people. And one of the things that I tried to impress upon those, especially who had not yet incorporated or set up that LLC, is there's this misunderstanding that LLC is sort of the newer, cooler, better thing. And I try to explain, look, a C corporation, S corporation, or LLC, one's not cooler or hipper or makes you more popular with the the opposite sex or whatever. It's not like that. It's like you have like a Prius and a school bus and a dump truck, and all three of them can drive you to get Chinese food, but they're all designed for a different purpose, and you want to use the right structure for whatever your outcome is. And from a note closer perspective, from holding real estate, sure, a LLC is ideal for holding real estate, but there are going to be other things as you build up your portfolio. Once you've got a few properties, you're probably going to want to set up some kind of a management company that's overseeing all the stuff. And in that situation, it's probably, at least amongst the people I've met, more often than not, it may not be an LLC that is the management company. Although the LLCs are what are going to hold the real estate. And then the management company is going to control the LLC. But people don't know this, and they just hear these initials, LLC or INC, and they go, oh, my friend set up an S Corp, or my dad had a C Corp, or this other investor's got an LLC. And they do that, and they never take time to figure out what's right for their goals. And they're not all the same. There's not one size fits all.
That's so true. I'm so glad you brought that up. Everybody has different goals long term. One of the big things that you're a big fan of saying is plan for the end game in mind, right?
Yeah, begin with the end in mind. Begin with the end in mind. And if you here's the other deal, Scott, and you know this. Most of the people that we run into, they don't have an end game. They're just seeing if they can make money. And when all you do is focus on making money, what you end up doing is being on a little hamster wheel, and you have to make any more, you have to run faster or for longer. Whereas if you have an end game in mind, I'm going to acquire this many, or I'm going to have this revenue, or I'm going to buy and hold this many places so I have rent, or whatever it is. I don't care what it is. If people would just define the goal, define how do we know when we get to success, right? What does it look like on that day? If people would just figure that part out, it would be a lot easier to get to the goal. Because I've got to acquire this many properties. That means I need to have this many conversations. I need to look over this many portfolios. I need to do certain things to then get to this specific outcome. Unfortunately, most people are just so freaked out by even having the first conversation, making the first bid. What do I do with this thing now? Or they can't handle the fact that maybe it'll take a little longer to see the fruit. If all you do is evaluate in any business thing, if all you do is you're basing it all on one experience or one frustration. I just got off the phone with a lady this morning who's invested all this money to build the infrastructure for her business. She's writing a book. She's paid for software. She's gone to coaching, but she's never asked one person for a sale. Never one person. And I said, well, forget all this other stuff you're doing. What are you going to do to get some leads? And she goes, I don't know. So I walked her for an hour through, here's how you get a lead. Here's how you take a lead to a prospect to a client. And if she's so freaked out about, I don't even know where to start, how is she going to set a goal that says, I'm going to talk to 10 people today, which is going to get me 3 conversations, which is going to get me 1 close, right? And if I'm going to talk to that many people, I better find some meetup groups or some RIAs or somewhere to be, so there's somebody to talk to, right? But if you don't have the goal, you can't get to a goal if you don't have it. And this is the pressure. Begin with the end in mind means, what the heck are you doing? And then let's work backwards so you have something to do when you wake up in the morning instead of going, oh, I'm scared. God, that was pretty harsh, but I did say
it. Well, that's a good point, because that's something we're telling people all the time. Like, listen, what are your goals? What do you want to accomplish? A monetary number you want to hit. Let's work those numbers backwards. So how many bids do you need to offer? How many bids are those that you need to submit in on a weekly basis? How many emails do you need to send out to your potential, asset managers and things like that stuff? But it all kind of comes back to you gotta have properly set up with quicksand and a solid foundation, right, Aaron?
That's exactly right. Are you able to see me? Okay, we're getting a little bit of. Okay, good. The other thing I was talking about a lot in India, I'm like you. I'm speaking pretty much every week somewhere, and so in this case, I was with all these women entrepreneurs. This was actually a pretty fun group. I really like it. It's the 40th anniversary. It was the 40th anniversary of Sisterpreneur. And so it's all Black women entrepreneurs.
Nice.
There were like 3 guys in the room, and I was the only white guy in the room. And these women are so freaking brilliant and have such good ideas and are so dedicated. And I love whenever they invite me to come back to speak. But anyway, I said, all the speakers here and all of you in the audience, everybody's saying, learn more about the stock market, learn more about marketing, learn how to brand yourself, write a book, learn. One lady there was teaching etiquette. She had a whole big round table, banquet table, set up with a full, all the forks and knives and spoons, right? And I said, okay, this is all great. Hooray. All these things are good, and find ones that you love, but none of it really matters if you don't build your dream on top of a solid foundation. And really that foundation is the most basic thing is, how do I protect myself? How do I get the best tax advantages? How do I figure out how I can pay myself the most and pay the least taxes? How do I do? And that's the foundation of the right entity, corporation or LLC, following the rules, making sure your corporate veil, your corporate compliance is done so that you're legal, so that you can then build any sort of structure on top of that you want, whether it's real estate or it's manufacturing, it's branding or marketing, it's mowing lawns, selling ice cream. I don't care. You got to get the foundation right, or the first sign of trouble, the whole thing could come crashing down.
Mm-hmm.
So we try to teach, and I think communicating that to people who have all kinds of dreams and goals is what's kept Laughlin Associates in business for so freaking long. I'm the third owner, right? Lee Morgan and I, we're the third owners. This is it's a stewardship. It's something that we take care of while it's in our possession. And I fully expect somebody else will own it down the road from here. And the main thing is if we do the right thing for the customer, if we teach them the truth, don't lie to them, don't manipulate them like so many other people do, don't undersell or oversell, and then teach them what they need to do, the odds are they're going to stay in business longer. They're going to feel good, just like their CPA or their lawyer or their personal trainer, whatever, housekeeper. They're going to go, oh, I'm getting exactly what I need and maybe a touch more from these guys. And look at me, I'm still in business. We've got, at the 3-day event, Magnify Your Wealth, we have clients that will show up there who've been a client for like 30 years. That's pretty cool. That's really cool when somebody stays with you through the whole growth of their family and now they're retired. I mean, it's freaking awesome. So anyway, I don't know why I went off on that tangent, but the foundation matters.
So with you speaking to so many entrepreneurs across the country, different businesses, what would you say, are there some things that you're seeing happen, or you're seeing entrepreneurs, whether it's real estate or stick and mortar or whatever it is, the common mistakes that you see people making or struggling with?
Oh, yeah. I think there's several reasons why companies don't make it. Okay. Let me review that first, and then I'll tell you what I think. I'll answer your question specifically. I think the reason people don't make it is because either, I hate to say this, but guys, this is just reality. Sometimes your idea just is a crappy idea. Nobody wants your thing. You may be passionate about it, but nobody else wants it. So if you're one of those people who's been beating their head against the wall for years, trying to force something down people's throats. It may just be nobody wants to buy it. You could be ahead of the curve. Maybe what you've got is great, but you're out in front of the wave and people don't know they need it, or there isn't technology organized to really use it yet. So it's not that it's never going to have its day, but maybe today is not the day. So one reason is the thing you have to sell, the product or service, may just not have a demand. Two, you're underfunded. You don't have the money to survive long enough to do. That doesn't mean you need to raise outside equity necessarily, but you do need to have enough money so you can eat, and so you can do some marketing, and so you can, print up the whatever, or go to the thing, or attend an event, or whatever it is you need to do. There's got to be at least enough money to do that. You can do like Mark Cuban and go steal little ketchup packets from McDonald's and eat the ketchup when you don't have money and sleep on your friends' couches. You still need to have enough money to push the business forward, even if you can't take anything out of it. So lack of capital. And the third thing is they don't know how to do it. So because almost everybody starts a business because they're good at doing some task. They know how to do something. There's a fabulous book that was written in the 90s called The E-Myth that talks all about this. People are good technicians. They know how to fix a car, bake a cake, write code, invest in real estate, but they don't know how to run a business. And a huge problem I see is people don't know what to do to own a business. They only know what to do to be self-employed. And there's a big difference between owning a business and being self-employed. The self-employed person they're just trading their time for money, and to make more money, they have to spend more time. They may get rich, but they'll be a total slave to their business. Or you can learn how to own a business, own something, and put processes and people in place so the business can run. You can direct it, you can be the boss, but it's not all dependent on you. But almost no entrepreneurs get out of, I should say this way, virtually everyone that I meet, and that's a lot, never have really gotten out of startup mode where they're the most critical person in the business. It won't work without them. So those are the problems. And then people trust a lot of opinion. They hear a lot of their friend tells them something, or they hear that they should, they shouldn't have to pay taxes. Corporations aren't paying taxes. I must have the wrong CPA or something. Usually it's because you're not taking the right deductions, or you're not really set up in a way that the rich set themselves up. You don't know what you don't even know what you don't know. So that's why you pay more in taxes or get frustrated by regulations or whatever. It's because you're a person playing on this low level, and you're thinking, I should be getting these results, or I should be getting these benefits, but I'm down here in the dirt, sucking wind. And usually it's because of a lack of knowledge of where. That's why what you do, Scott, is so valuable, because you're teaching nuts and bolts, and you're saying this may take, in these states, this may take 18 months. Don't get all freaked out if you're not getting hundreds of thousands of dollars in the first 90 days. This is, you teach reality. And when somebody gets reality, and if they have the wherewithal to wait it out because they're still working a job or they've got some savings, then if they can actually legitimately play the game, they can really benefit. But most people are missing out on stuff out of ignorance, out of lack of knowledge, they don't want to mentor. They want to get everything free they can get, but they don't want to actually plug in to a group or a mentor, somebody who knows actually what to do.
That's so true, Aaron. It's so true. See people all the time. Oh, I just watched some videos. I don't want to pay for something. I'm like, well, that paying for something is going to save you months, if not years, in success. It's going to help you get your success faster, but it also help you avoid so many mistakes.
Well, here's the deal. People think somehow if they pay, not everybody, by the way, because obviously both of us have lots of clients, but there are many people out there who wonder why they beat their head against the wall, who wonder why they're not successful. They look around and go, I'm as smart as these other people. I'm as capable, why am I not having these results? Well, the reason is because you don't even know what you don't know. So when you want to be discerning in who you engage, who you hire, who you follow, there's a lot of schmucks out there. People that just know how to talk about it, but they've never done it. The thing I love about Scott Carson is he's done it. I've done it for 3 decades. I've been 36 years almost buying and selling and starting companies. I really know what I'm doing. You went around the country for years and just did nothing but ate, drank, and slept this. You know it. You don't know about it, you know it. And the people that don't pay for their own education and then wonder why they're unsuccessful is because, well, until you change, you can't change your results. And that's why I loved, was it Jim Rohn that said, formal education will make you a living and self-education will make you a fortune. Mm-hmm. You know, you find your educator, you find your Yoda, find your teacher, and things that seem impossible. I don't know, how can I can lift this little pebble, but I can't lift that fighter out of the swamp. That's too big for me. Well, no, it's not too big. It's the same skill set. You just don't know how to do it. And so I encourage everybody. I think if you're a leader, or if you're trying to really go out and do something, even if it's out of your spare bedroom, you're going to be a real estate investor, and you're going to do it on the side, or you're going to do it just by yourself for a while you get started. For heaven's sake, plug into somebody and learn the nuts and bolts, so you don't have to make it all up yourself and get all the scars and bleed out all over the floor. Because, when you could have just gone, oh, I could go through the crocodile infested swamp, or I can get on this moving sidewalk right here that takes me right to the pot of gold. It's up to you. But a big mistake I see entrepreneurs make is they're too proud, meaning they know they don't know, but they're unwilling to ask. Mm-hmm. So they're too proud, and that's why they fail. And by the way, the most successful people I've ever met in my life are very teachable. They're constantly trying to learn. They're constantly talking to other people that are further down the road than them. They're buying classes. They're sitting in events and taking copious notes instead of worrying about, just stupid stuff. So rich people Warren Buffett says he reads 6 hours a day. That's what he does. He goes to a chair with a book, with a report, with whatever, and he reads. The Oracle from Omaha, right? Well, there's a reason, because he's informed, because he's educated. That's why he's one of the richest people in the world. And everybody talks about how the richest people are all reading, studying, learning, hanging out with people, investing in ways of being with people that lift them. And that's what your mastermind does.
Well, it's mastermind. It's your inner circle. It's your Magnify Your Wealth. You're bringing people together, and that's the beautiful thing. Like this weekend, this coming week, Aaron's a speaker on Note Camp 6. And that's why we bring 30. We have 32, 33 speakers, educators, people that know the industry, or also work within people in the industry, the vendors, or help protect things. And that's why we also love to have Aaron on as much as we can, because the services you guys provide is a very big deal when it comes to somebody who's investing in real estate, or you're going to be taking money from outside people for investing. You want to protect your assets of some sort. So we're always excited to have Aaron come on, because you give such a great presentation of the great things. Year in, year out, your session is always one of the highest ranked sessions when we reach back out to those that attended, because they love it. They're like, oh my God, I get so much out of what you do. And just the slide alone that you have of all the different disclosures or different things that you can put together is always one.
Don't give up the secrets.
Yeah. We're not giving secrets, but it's one of the best things that people are like, oh my gosh, it's eye-opening to get things rocking and rolling. And so it's November now, we got 6 weeks left in the year, 7 weeks left in the year, really less than a month of work time. If you figure in the holidays, Christmas, the days off that people are taking and things like that, then running to New Year's. Everybody talks about, about a month, exactly. people are looking at their lives. They're looking at what they're doing. They're either looking back at their goals of what did I accomplish this year, or what did I not accomplish this year, and what do I want to accomplish in the new year. So I thought it might be a good idea. Is there a couple tips? And I'm just throwing this out here. Aaron doesn't even know what I'm asking him yet. Okay. Couple tips that you would give to those people that are looking to make some changes come January 1st. Things that they could put into place now, put into motion now, so that when January rolls around, they're taking bigger steps or more steps towards action and towards success.
Yeah, absolutely. And this could be any time of the year, but because this is the time of the year that we spend time reflecting, it's a great question. I said a few minutes ago, in order to go from here to here, you're here because of who you are now, and to get here, you have to become a different person. You have to. There's no way around it. You're going to become better educated, more mature, more sophisticated. To get here, you have to change. So the very first thing, I've already alluded to it earlier, is decide. And the way I have my students do it is I have them write almost like it's a novel. Describe, if your life was kind of perfect 3 years from now, write that down. I wake up and in the satin sheets and I feel so well rested, and I spin up out of the bed and my feet touch that thick, beautiful rug that I picked up in Persia, and I go to the office, and it's just write it out. So it's like a compelling story that when you read it, you go right into that spot. Because, keep 1 to 2 pages, but describe what your life is like if it was perfect, what you want, and not how you got there, just here I am today and I'm describing my day. Why? Because your conscious mind can only work on a very few things at a time. There's very, very little space on the desk. But your file cabinets back here in your subconscious have endless, everything that's ever happened to you, everything you've ever seen is there. And the magic about your subconscious is it doesn't know the difference between real and imagined. It doesn't know. That's why you get freaked out when you go to a scary movie. That's why when you watch all the Bigfoot stuff on TV and then you go out for a picnic, you're like looking around, what was that noise? Maybe it was Bigfoot, right? Because your subconscious doesn't know the difference. And so what happens is when you write your vision out and describe it, your subconscious will go to work helping you figure out a pathway to get to that reality. That's just true. That's not woo-woo, that's science. That is how your mind works. And that's why, whatever the mind of man can conceive and conceive and believe can achieve, or begin with the end in mind, or, whether you think you can or you think you cannot, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. All of these leaders, Henry Ford, Walt Disney, Napoleon Hill, the first one I said, all of these leaders have known that if you can imagine it, you can make it happen. You have to imagine and then you have to work. Problem is most of us don't know the steps. If you put the big part of your brain to work for you, you'll just get ideas. You go, wow, why didn't I ever think of that before? Well, it's because you hadn't ever given your brain a specific task to work on. So the first thing is get clear on what the hell you want. Get happy and get excited about it and start thinking about it. And then the second step is take tiny baby steps. Now, we've all heard that. So we think, well, what's the baby step? I asked a lady today, I was telling you, I was talking to this client right before we got on to record. She'd done all this work, but she had 0 sales. And I said, tell me how you would introduce yourself to somebody. And she goes, well, I would say this. I said, okay, that's terrible. What you're saying is terrible. What you're doing is trying to justify yourself to somebody else. Try to feel worthy. Try to say big enough words that it sounds like you're cool enough for their attention. I said, This woman had been a senior manager. That's one step below partner, first at IBM and then at Deloitte. She's a business consultant to Fortune 100 companies, and now she's trying to do the same thing for smaller companies. But she spent 25 years as a senior person working at the highest level of business. Now all of a sudden she's terrified to open her mouth because she's afraid. She's just afraid. I said, quit trying to say something that's not really you. Just say, I spent the first half of my life working for IBM and Deloitte as a senior manager, working with these companies, and now I'm going to bring those same skills to Main Street. That's what I'm doing now. I help people have more time or freedom, or just sometimes owners just get tired, and I can help them with that. Are you a business owner? Do you ever feel tired? I said, do that. And then say, I'm going to collect 10 business cards a day, right? But to do that, you have to show up at some places where there's more than 10 people to talk to. Those are the baby steps. If you say, I'm going to have a vision, and then I'm going to take baby steps, but I'm not going to define what the baby steps are, then you won't ever move. But as soon as you say, I'm going to get 10 business cards a day, I'm going to engage 10 people a day in a conversation, even if it's at the grocery store in the line. Because when performance is measured, performance improves. Then you want to have somebody like a Scott Carson or a me, or whomever you want, or your spouse or your best friend, who's your accountability partner. So you just text them and say, today I got 9 business cards. Today I got 19 business cards. Because when performance is measured, performance improves. But when performance is measured and reported back, the rate of improvement accelerates. And so the reason people struggle is because they don't get explicit about where they're going to go and what they're going to do every day, and then have some way, somebody to be accountable to. Otherwise, we spend all of our time trying to build a perfect ship and put all the provisions in it and get the perfect sales and paint it and get a name for it and swab the deck and polish, but we never actually get in the water. That's why people struggle, is because they don't start. So my tip is, if you're feeling frustrated in 2018, set a specific goal and set some dumbbell easy thing to do. It maybe not easy, specific thing to do, because it may be hard to engage people in conversations. That may be challenging. Scott, wouldn't you agree that the first few are hard, but when you get the first yes or the first good experience, the second one gets easier. And pretty soon, most of the engagements, most of the conversations are positive.
I totally agree with that. It gets easier with practice no matter what you're doing, whether you're talking to bars or talking to investors. You just have to go out there and actually do it to get better. You have to go screw up to understand how you get better at it. You got to learn, oh, that was horrible. What can I do better? Having somebody will take the time to critique you or give you some pointers. So, oh no, that's not what you should be saying. Here's what you should say that's going to resonate more or help you. Instead of trying to justify it, you're going to come from a power position and be a lot more comfortable, and people are going to gravitate to that versus running the other direction because their ears are bleeding.
Anytime we meet somebody who seems like they have a vision and they know where they're going, it's attractive. I don't care what it is. Even if you don't want to work specifically with them or do their thing, you still are kind of turned on by the fact that they seem to have a goal, and there's almost like a fear of missing out. If I don't jump on their bandwagon with them, I may miss out because they seem to know where they're going and I'm floundering. Is that true?
Totally true, man. We want to surround ourselves with people that are taking action versus that are floundering. That's just a natural law of attraction. We want to be around. I don't really know. I might do that. They're not positive to anybody out there. So totally agree with that. I like surrounding myself with people that are doing things. I like being around people that are busy and active. And that doesn't mean they're not failing. Because we all fail. Those that fail, they'll learn how to fail faster because they have been down that road before. Oh, no, we need to make a pivot. This is not working. We need to go a different direction. I think to be truly successful, you can't fear. You've got to embrace failure, not run from it.
Well, we only learn through our struggles. When things are easy, when everything's working, we're not really learning. Even if you want to say, "Oh, I'm financially successful, I have time, I want to go learn how to speak French," right? You're going to screw up speaking French a lot. It's through the failure and through the effort and through that you finally are able to get the result. But you will always be failing forward. Always. It's how it is. You fail forward. That's how successful people live their lives, failing forward.
Exactly. We've got some applauses from Casey Lang out of Colorado, Eric Hyde out of California. Dan Deppen says, "I just do whatever Wesley Snipes says."
Wesley Snipes. He's having to watch a bunch of old movies, I guess, because
I guess so, or trying to avoid tax evasion.
Well, my wife likes to say, "What would Dumbledore do?" That's her favorite thing. What would Dumbledore
do? There you go. Well, Dumbledore too. I'm sure you're going to go see Fantastic, or the second one of Fantastic Beasts here before too long, then, right?
Yeah, can't wait.
Aaron might just be
Harry
a big
Potter
fan of
at Disneyland. I would be in heaven.
That's what I was just going to say. Harry Potter Disneyland, the best of both worlds. Where's Aaron? He's somewhere with a cape and a wand.
Cape and a wand and some mouse ears. He's going crazy.
He's off trading pins.
Chocolate covered banana. Here we go.
Good stuff out there. Now, question for you: Are there? Let's flip it over a little bit here. We've got some of the things that the people could do. Are there any common mistakes you see people make this time of year as well that they should look to maybe avoid?
Well, yeah. I mean, the first thing is most people are not planning very far ahead. So they may have a goal like, I want to lose some weight, or I want to, work. I want to learn how to do some skill. But from a business standpoint, we should be planning through 2019 already, not just for we want to increase revenue 17%, but like, are we going to need a certain amount of money? Do we have money now? Is there anything we can do to give us a tax advantage before the end of the year? Do we have a surplus? And so we should be buying stuff now, spending this money, writing it off rather than giving it to the government, even though we may not need the stuff we're going to buy for 5 or 6 months. I mean, there's a lot of things that if we're planning, I mean, you can say, I'm going to buy office supplies or something, but I'm thinking, are there events you want to go to next year that you could pay for today if you have profits? Mm-hmm. Are you organized in a way? Are you big enough now? And is there enough money, what I would call after-tax discretionary profit? That's just money that doesn't have any earmark on it. Should you set up a second corporation that has a different calendar year than January 1st through December 31st? So set up a C corporation that could be handling elements of the business as well as whatever you're doing now, so that maybe you could move some of the profits to the other company for whatever purpose, and you can delay. You're not going to get out of paying the tax, but you may be able to defer it and keep the money in motion, so you're still making money with that money before you finally pay the tax collector. So there are a lot of things as you sort of evolve and you get bigger, that if you've gotten bigger and you aren't plugged into somebody like us who is thinking about that sort of thing, or you don't have a really gifted accountant who knows enough about corporate strategy. Most accountants, who are great, by the way, but most accountants just know how to be a reporting agency for the IRS. That's what they do. They're going to get the money. They may come up with some ways for you to reduce your taxes. I think that's great. But most accountants are not really strategically thinking about how to organize your business, multiple corporate structures, how to, I don't like to use the word income strip, but how do you pull money out before you have to pay tax on it to do other things? And if you're intentional about where you're going, and you're thinking far enough ahead, and instead of just, oh my gosh, I better start ordering Christmas gifts now. If you start to think, oh, I've got this surpluses, or maybe you're losing money, but you're going in the right direction, but you're losing money. Should you be a C Corp where you can have a tax loss carry forward, where that loss doesn't get lost at the end of the year? You have to be a C Corp, or you have to be a multi-member LLC that's being taxed like a C Corp in order to qualify for a tax loss carry forward. That means you lost money this year, so next year when you make profits, you can push those profits down with old losses and pay a lower tax or no tax. So these are thoughts that people, as their businesses grow and evolve, take some time to go talk to somebody that's a professional that can help you evaluate where you are now, because where you are now may be much more advanced than where you were when you started. So those are the kind of mistakes I see people making, is they're not thinking about how they've evolved and is there a better way now? So there you go.
Huge,
that's a mouthful.
It's a little bit of a mouthful, but that's okay there. Well, that's the thing. You said something very, very important there. They're not, most people are thinking far enough in advance, and to come up with a far enough advance plan, you got to be planning it. You can't wait till December 29th to be planning all 2019. You got to start looking at things, planning your events. I know you look at your calendar on a regular basis and are planning things out way ahead, just like I am and others out there. Okay, like we have basically through June already booked for the most part. We already know kind of where our numbers are at for the last 2 years and looking at how to adjust our numbers or how to adjust our opportunities so that we're seeing growth year over year and making sure that we're doing some things. But it also takes planning and figuring, okay, what did we screw up in last year? What did we screw up earlier this year? How can we adjust that with our experts, not our advice givers, but our counselors to make things. As you say, don't take advice from anybody, seek counsel, right?
Yeah, and because counsel, a lot of people go because they're insecure and they want somebody to tell them what to do. And often the advice they receive is bad advice, uninformed advice. Counsel is kind of like saying, I'm going to accumulate a whole bunch of information. Nobody's telling me do this. I've got this information, this. I've got all these ingredients now on the kitchen counter. Now, which ones do I want to choose from to achieve what I want? Most people I meet really desperately want somebody to sprinkle pixie dust on them and make all their problems go away. And the fact is that doesn't work. But if you're thinking and reading and seeking good counsel from somebody who's already achieved success in whatever area you're quizzing them on, then instead of saying, oh, I must follow their program, you say, oh, now I understand their program and this one over here and these facts over here and this trend. What does my mind think of all that? And what do I want to do to achieve my goals? Don't abdicate the control of what you're doing to some guru. Use the guru for education, but the education is only so you can make good choices based on your whole life's experience. That's what matters. That's what matters, is what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Be the
now,
boss.
I have a question for you. Taking a little bit here. What's a big thing that you're looking forward to in 2019? What's something new that you're looking forward to in the new year?
On a personal level or a business level?
Yeah, personal, whatever. What's something that you're just jacked up about?
I'm excited that I'm doing more international speaking. I've got several gigs next year already booked, so I'm very excited about that. I've got some young horses that I'm training, and they'll get a lot further advanced this next year, and I'm really enjoying that. I like to play cowboy when I'm not doing business stuff. I have a book.
I did like your post the other day where one day you're out on the trail and the next day you're on an airplane somewhere. I did notice that. It
was a funny one. Yeah, I said yesterday versus today, and I thought, isn't it weird? Yesterday I was like deep in the backcountry, and that picture I showed, I'm just going to tell you this real quick. the picture I showed, if anybody goes to Aaron Young on Facebook, I have these two photos that Scott mentioned. Well, I'd been on this trail before, but I got there, and this is up right on Mount St. Helens, the volcano. Well, apparently we must have had a quick thaw or something, because this thing that used to go down into a creek and then come back up was now this enormous, gigantic, washed out gully that dropped about 30 feet down through all these boulders and then across the sand. And then we had to figure out a way to get back up the other side. It was actually freaking dangerous what we did, but it was, but the cool rides are always the dangerous rides. And so we get into some good spots well, that's a business. There's a metaphor. It's the easy ride is not going to get you much of an experience. When you take a real risk, you get to the places that almost nobody else ever gets to visit or see. Yeah, that's good. We should write that down. So I'm sure that's the first time anybody's ever said that. But yeah, Scott, I'm looking, and I'm really, really, really looking forward to, I have a book that's almost done called Unshackled, and that'll come out in 2019. And that's a whole other thing that, I've been working on and developing, the whole Unshackled Owner, which is now developed into Unshackled Leadership, Unshackled Real Estate, Unshackled Life. I've got a new mastermind starting next year. I've got a lot of cool stuff starting next year. So 2019, every time I think that I've reached my goals, it is, the old saying, I'd never want to be a member of a club that would have me. So every time we get close to our goal that we thought was unattainable, we go, oh, that's not that big a deal. I can do something more than that. I thought it was hard, but it's really not. So now I'm almost to the goal. I'm going to set the goal much higher. And what a fun way to live, to always be learning and stretching.
Amen to that, man. Amen to that, Aaron. That's the truth. Big risks equal big rewards in business and in life. And I think that is an appropriate way to end today's episode of that out there. So thank you so much for always. Look forward to seeing you in a few weeks as well. Hanging out with you online this week at Note Camp 6.0 as well. And just looking forward. Is Michelle back from overseas, or she's still over there with your?
She's back from Japan, and she's on grandbaby watch now. My daughter's going to have her second child like any second. I was worried that the baby would be born while I was out of town this weekend. She's due right now, and all the hour by hour focus right now is on Zoe and her little tummy. And looking forward to grandbaby number 4. So,
well, congratulations there, Granddad.
Thank you.
Good stuff, man. Well, hey, give a big shout out, big hug to everybody out there, and we'll be talking to you later. All right, Aaron?
Good stuff. Hey, thanks so much for having me on.
Anytime, man. Thanks for being on. So.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the No Closure Show. As you heard from Aaron say, big risks equal big rewards in business and life, but you got to start with the end in mind and work your way through the problems, through the ups and downs, the washed out gullies or the cliffs that we climb or work our way through on a day in, day out basis. Because if it was the same thing every day, you're not growing. So go out, take some action, and we look forward to seeing you all at the top.